The Industrial Park Conference for Sustainable and Inclusive Development was organized in Peru within the framework of our program for country partnership, which is an innovative approach of UNIDO to bring forward SDG 9, as to say, inclusive and sustainable industrial development. As such, we had 60 panelists from 30 countries debating over the different aspects of industrial parks. And when we designed the program, we looked at political aspects, financial aspects, park management aspects, which I will outline now a bit further. Starting with the policy aspect. So industrial parks are considered as very valuable instruments for bringing forward industrial development. But we also have to take into consideration that they sometimes might have negative environmental and social impact. So new industrial parks, being existing ones or to be established, need to consider this and need to consider also new aspects like Industry 4.0 and circular economy. So Industry 4.0 and circular economy is like a thread that goes throughout all the presentations that we had at the conference. When talking about policy, so we had high-level representatives from Egypt, Indonesia, Peru, Argentina, discussing on Ethiopia, discussing on how to embed industrial parks in the national development strategies. Industrial parks cannot stand alone, they have to be embedded. So we heard about the different experiences and know-how from the countries, from the policy aspects. Following this, we had the different park management models, which can be private, public-private, or just public-driven, and to also see what how they bring forward, how they foster social inclusion. So, for example, we had Mexico coming from the Private Industrial Parks Association. We had a representative talking about how private industry brings forward industrial parks. We had a Japanese representative from Kawasaki seeing how the central government cooperated with the city in developing the city and also the industrial park, but really putting forward the environmental aspects. So the next goal for Kawasaki is to be climate neutral, CO2 neutral. We also looked into different models like Chile, where they see industrial parks as a new model for embedding also circular economy. We moved on then to a very specific type of park, which is eco-industrial parks. And there UNIDO holds a cooperation with the World Bank and the German corporation. And in this we developed guidelines for eco-industrial parks. We had then representatives from Korea discussing how this model is applied in Korea. Ulsan is the model for industrial symbiosis, meaning I'm using waste from one company as input for the other one, how they cooperate with the companies. We had a Swiss corporation and World Bank outlining why are they funding eco-industrial parks. And we also discussed with Peru that is about to start an eco-industrial parks. That was the day one. Day two we initiated with introductory speech about Industrial 4.0 and circular economy and the consequences for industrial parks, or how to embed these two concepts in industrial parks. We looked at special economic zones. Special economic zones are policy enabling types of industrial parks, meaning they can be inside or outside an industrial park, and they have a special regime, a special tax regime, or they might have special labor policies with the aim to attract foreign investment and facilitate trade. Also employment, we have seen that they have less impact on regional development. Here it was a pleasure to welcome Ireland, where the first special economic zone had been established in the early 50s. We discussed with China that sees now a need for greening special economic zones. We discussed with Colombia that sees an increase in investment through to this. So very different aspects of special economic zones. Last but not least, financing. So what are investment models, what are new financial models to foster industrial parks? We started with the classical model presented by the CEO of the National Development Bank of Peru, outlining credit lines, specific schemes for small and medium-scale enterprises, attracting them to come to parks. We then looked into impact in financing. We also looked at very interesting into blockchain methodologies that can really trace investment and make them more transparent. We discussed what is the macro impact, how do you measure the macro impact of investments in industrial parks, and also see how industrial parks could attract more investments that are related to circular economy. So all in all, this was the framework that we provided for the conference.